All right, all right. What is going on, online community 343 Labs? Another feedback session in the house every Saturday, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm Atropolis. I'm an instructor, Ableton Certified Trainer at 343 Labs. And if you're joining us for the first time today, you can submit your tracks to my email, which we'll be putting in the chat shortly. I'm going to say it now. It's Atropolis at 343labs.com. So if you're joining us for the first time, this is a feedback session. You can submit your track to that email. We'll take a listen and talk about what we think could be improved upon, what we like about it, things like that. So yeah, definitely wish I had something like this when I was starting with my, it doesn't even have to be starting off with music production, right? Every point in your path and your journey with music production, I think it helps to have someone give you some guidance, especially if you're listening to something over and over and you kind of lose track. So that's what we're doing. I don't have the chat open up yet. I'm going to actually go ahead and grab that just to see what's going on. So let me hop over to my email, see if we got any submissions yet. I want to see who's in the chat, see if we even got any folks lined up as it is. So yeah, Ableton Certified Trainer at 343 Labs. We got a lot of awesome things happening online on our YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram channels. So if you haven't taken advantage of all the free content and different theme days for different topics, make sure to check us out. And if you want to go deeper, we got online courses, virtual classes where you can hang out with me. We got our physical classrooms in New York City and Berlin as well. So 343 just opened up a location in a really amazing recording studio in Berlin. So be sure to check that out. All right, so I'm going to sign in. I'm going into the YouTube 343. See what's going on. See if I'm here just talking to myself or if I'm actually talking to some folks. Got 5 people watching. All right. And Berlin as well. Taking it off. So now I'm up in here. I'm in the chat. I see, we got Vinny in the house. Cool. I just got into the chat, so I just see Vinny right now. Sonia, how are you doing? Yes. I think we were all supposed to be. I was supposed to be in Mexico, actually, right now. And now I live in Woodstock, New York. So it's crazy. Sonia, I finally got to your track. So I hope you saw that. And yeah, just waiting for you guys to send whatever it is you want to get some feedback on. I'm going to put my email now that I'm a part of this chat. Let's get it going. 343labs.com. All right, so that's email. Email me your tracks. Send your tracks to that email. What's going on, Paul? And I believe there is a mic in here somewhere. So, yes. I am waiting for the submissions to roll in. We usually can get, anywhere between 3 to 5. It's on average anywhere between 3 to 7 minutes of feedback per track. So yes. Yeah, no problem, Sonia. Thank you for sharing. Sorry it took so long for me to get back. Cool. So, Sonia, Vinny, you guys know the drill. If you guys got something cooked up, send it on over. Paul, I believe I am seeing your name in this chat possibly for the first time. Might have missed the email. It's above, Atropolis at 343labs.com. So, not sure if you're seeing that. Maybe you just joined the chat. There it is. So you can submit your email to that. You can submit your track to that email. And if you want to include particular things that you're uncertain about or curious about, please specify. Or if you're just like, hey, I just want some feedback, see what you got, that works too. So yeah, feedback sessions, 343 Labs, every Saturday. Here we are kicking it off. And for those of you joining us, maybe you just popped in right now. No sending files. Like you want to do an MP3 or a link to like SoundCloud. We're not taking how long is too long for a track review. It's okay. We want to keep it within like no more than, 5 to 6 minutes. That'd be kind of the tops. And it's hard to tell, Mike. Sometimes, depends on how things roll in, how many people are hanging out today. If we get a full submissions like usual, we would hope the track could be no longer than 7 minutes. But in terms of the largest attachment size, yes, we don't want, I'm not taking any Ableton projects per se. If you have only the means to email a file, potentially send it WeTransfer. Please send an MP3 if you can. That's the best way. Okay. And just a little conversation on sharing music. Because what happens, a lot of folks want to, when they send music, they send a WAV file, which is great. I love high definition. But I just want to give you guys a heads up. If you're going to start pitching to labels, like, sending your music to record labels and things like that, labels get music, lots of music every single day. So they can't handle getting waves. And I'm not saying anyone's asking about waves right now, but I'm just having a conversation just based on someone who receives music quite often. You can, sure. Yeah, you could send it this chat. That works as well. Yeah, sometimes it's a private link. Sometimes folks don't want to, if it's a private link, they don't want to share it, or it won't work unless it's emailed, things like that. So, yes, you could also just post the link right here. So just long story short, if you're going to submit your tracks to record labels, if you guys are going to start pitching your music to anybody, send an MP3 always. Okay. So yeah, if you want, you can send a link if you have it on YouTube or whatever platform for streaming platform. If you're going to email the track, do an MP3. If you don't have the means to convert to MP3, you're not familiar with that process, please send me the track. Just type in WeTransfer.com. Type in Atropolis at 343labs.com, and that's the best way to send WAV files. All right, I see Vinny and I see Paul. So very cool. Paul, thanks for sending, and thanks for joining us. I'm not sure if this is your first time joining us. If not, welcome back. So Vinny coming through, cables and curtains. Ooh, track has been removed. So yeah, we'll run into some things. Vinny, I guess resend it, or if you want to make it public for a little bit. But there's a chance you're gonna have to resend that private link. You can send a YouTube link, absolutely. Okay, so as we're waiting for Vinny, let me check on Paul's track. Came in good. All right, man. So we're going to kick it off with Paul. And he's got a full track right over here. I'm going to flip it over in a moment. Vinny, we will absolutely get to your track. Great. Awesome, man. Well, I hope you enjoy it. So thanks for joining us. So I'm going to get started. Hopefully the audio and everything comes in clean. I'm just going to check my settings and make sure everything's cool. So yeah, if anything cuts out or you guys don't hear anything, please let me know. Let's do this. So I'm going to hit play.
In a captive environment, they can live 10 to 15 years. In a wild environment, anything over 7 would be great. If he was in the
All right. Let's pop it back. Let's pop it back. Nice. Really nice track, Paul. I just want to address Avon. We give feedback on every style of music. So it's everything. So yeah, you can submit your track to Atropolis at 343labs.com. Thomas on the 343 side, if you could just get that in there. Yes, awesome. Thank you guys. So yeah, everything, all submissions can, it doesn't matter. It's not nearly as well. That's not the point, Mike. That's not about comparing or what it's about whatever stage your track is at, right? It could be the very beginning. You can send me a 4-bar loop if you want. You can send me a 4-bar idea if you want, and we can talk about it. So it doesn't have to be a full track. All right. So Paul, let's get into the track, man. Really, really nice. Really cool fusion of elements that I'm familiar with, but haven't quite have enough experience hearing. You had this like really chilled out guitar with this really kind of heavy, like almost hardcore, this big kick. So it was really cool. And then the tempo was slower. So you have this like really heavy, energetic kick that's usually in harder electronic stuff, but with these, really laid back guitars. So I thought it was a really cool juxtaposition of sounds, and styles coming together. Overall, I think the drums are a little pushed. I think you're pushing it. I don't know if you're compressing or what software you're using. But it feels the drums feel a little too, your bass and everything. It feels a little too smashed. So you might want to back off if you are. It could be the sample itself, but it sounds like a lot, either heavy limiting or heavy compression that I think could be backed off a little bit. Arrangement wise, so we always talk about, I break down what I'll get into when you're thinking about a track and feedback. You want to think about the arrangement. You want to think about the flow of things, the mix, the actual feelings of the track, the emotions, the emotional journey that goes on, and like the significance of every sound. So you had some really cool used live, good point things. Yeah, I don't know. There's something, maybe it's the volume. I don't know. Then cut the bass, just cut it a little bit. And this is a common thing, folks that have been joining us. Maybe just cut the lows a little bit, or lower it a little bit on the kick. So getting back to just when you want to think about a track, we're talking about arrangement. So nice arrangement, nice use of sounds, right? The guitar and the drums and these pads and these voices, unique and stylistically, I think it's got a lot of character. Mix wise is one of the most common points of feedback, mainly because when we produce and we mix, they're like two muscles, different muscles. They're similar, but they're different. A couple of things with the mix, like the bass, the kick. I feel like, I don't know. Maybe it could just be the sample. The train sound, I believe it's a train sound. Let me try to flip my screen real quick. I didn't note the time on it, but it was right around here. You have this train sound that comes in, or like some kind of mechanical sound that comes in, and it was too loud, right? It was just too loud. So just bring that down, right? It was like overpowering, maybe even sidechain it too. Okay. Yeah. So I would, that train sound comes in a little too heavy. Then in that case, what I'm hearing, yeah, so bring it down. If anything, maybe sidechain it so it pumps a little bit, but you got to bring it down. Maybe cut the lows on that. Another thing, I think your kick and bass might be clashing with each other. I mean, it has a certain vibe to it, and I understand how they're playing together, but maybe play with the transpositions a little bit, because that's probably what I'm hearing then, which is maybe just, it could be just a semitone off. I mean, there's also a certain character to that, okay? And this is the hard thing about feedback, right? Music ultimately is subjective. There is a general kind of feeling that we have, whether we are trained in music, making music, or just listen to music, there's a certain expectation that we have. Yeah, the trains are great. You just got to bring them down for sure. Really nice, but I think they overpower it a little bit. So check out the transpositions on your bass and kick. I think you might want to move them up or down a semitone if you can. And those are the only other areas that I can think about. So, Paul, thank you for submitting. We all really enjoyed the track, as you can see. I hope that feedback was constructive and you feel like you can take it and work with it. The bass, sure. Yeah, I mean, that's always a thing. It's always the bass and kick it's like a married couple, and you always got to like pay attention and tend to it. So it could be a tuning thing. It could be a combination of tuning. It could be a combination of needing to do a subtle or more known sidechain compression where it pushes it more, and maybe some cutting on the bass. All right, so submissions are coming in. Paul, we're going to move on from the track. Actually, before I just say that, Paul, do you have anything you want to ask us? And that's for everybody. Great. Awesome, Mike. It's potentially yes. Clashing it in the sense that you're not going to get this dissonant sound, but clashing in the sense that they're going to come through together. I would have to sit with it because I'm not entirely sure what the kick is. If the kick is tight and round and punchy, no. But if the kick has bass in it, and there's parts of the bass of the kick, and there's parts of the bass that you want to hear together, there's a chance that those things could clash together sonically, because you can't have two things doing the same thing and expect to hear both of them equally. Unfortunately, it's always a compromise. This is the biggest piece of information that was given to me. All right. And I guess I could flip it back so you guys aren't just looking at this chat. I think I lost my my screen. Ecamm. Here we go. Come back. What? Sorry, guys. Jumping all over the place. So just a big thing, kick and bass. Only one could be here. They can't both be here. Okay, I've heard this from several engineers, mixing engineers, and it's something that has really resonated with me. Just to understand that, So, Mike, there's tones involved. Making sure those tones are aligned, absolutely. If there's a tone in the kick and the tone in the bass, if they're off, if they're in the same tuning, it's going to help. But if you're also competing with volume, there's a chance it might still clash. But this is a big conversation. Everybody here, just pay close attention to your kick. If you're going to put your kick and the bass together as a partnership, when they play together in sync, the kick needs to be punchy, right? No tone, no long release. The bass should be the round, more release, slightly longer resonance of that lower end. Otherwise, you got to start thinking about sidechain compression. You got to think about the tunings of those things. You got to think about low pass. All right. Excuse me. High pass filter. All right, let's do this. Let me see what we got going on. I'm going to be flipping through my pages. We got to get it going. 12:24, slightly late start. So Yvonne, yes, you can send a SoundCloud link via this chat if you're comfortable, if it's not a private, or you can send your track to this email. Okay. So yeah, you can put your links in this chat, and you can also email. So here we go. We got Vinny. We got 1, 2, 3 tracks right now. At the rate we're going at, that might be it, but we'll see. So I'm just letting you know, we got 3 people lined up right now. There's a very good chance we might be able to get a couple more, but if you're coming in, just try to get it in quick. All right, let's see. Vinny, round 2. Yes, it is working. We're going to hit play, and let's do this. All right, nice. Very cool. Very cables and curtain. Feeling them cables and curtains. So let's hop back. Very cool, Vinny. Vinny, anything you want to share about this track in regards to what stages you're in with it? I always want to ask that with you because I know sometimes you're just whipping things up. I'm not saying this feels like you just whipped it up. I'm just curious. Really cool, man. This is had a really nice like crescendo to it, which is really awesome. And for me, also a new experience with your music because I feel like we're similar in the sense like we like to go into all these different types of changes and stuff. This had a nice like just a really nice groove to it, you know, kind of trancey in a way, not like trance in music, but trance in the way. Trance in the sense that, you know, it has this rhythmic, you know, this beating drum, like a heartbeat. So really, really cool. Now, there are some things that I'm curious about that I'm like, all right, I don't know if it's intentional. You do have some dissonant things going on the low end. Dissonant in the sense that, you know, it might be a few cents off. I don't know what it is, but you have some low releases colliding with each other in your lower ends. Not sure if that's intentional. Not sure if that's something you want. It does give a certain eeriness to it. But if that's not something that you want, it's happening. So just letting you know, you have some voices that are clashing on a very subtle level, very dissonant. It sounds like it could be a few cents. It could be a semitone off. It could just be cutting your releases. Maybe the release of the note of the voice is continuing and you're going to another voice in other parts and the release of that previous note is just not happy with whatever notes are going on. That was really the main thing that was sticking out to me that I feel like needs to be addressed. This is kind of crazy. I really, really liked where the kick was. And I often tell people, I'm not telling you to bring the kick up. I often have to tell people to like calm their kick down or cut it or lower the bass. But I feel like that kick and where it's sitting and the roll and the way it's like a driving force, I really like where the kick is sitting spatially in the mix. But I would maybe consider putting a parametric or a bell filter, same thing, right? Parametric EQ or a bell filter, the same thing. On that kick and maybe just popping it a little bit around 50K, right? Maybe, and giving it just a little bit of a bump on the kick. Yeah, man, it's cool. This is like it comes and goes. Do I want more? Could it grow into like it's like this jam, you know, it comes and goes really nicely, you know. I'm like, where is this track? Could it, like, I almost feel like it could become something bigger and longer the way it is. It has a really epic vibe to it. So yeah, that would be it. Vinny, check out your low ends. I do think mix wise, always, I do think some, you know, you just got into there. You just got into this, so yeah, I know you're gonna go in there. I know you're gonna put your mixing skills on this. It's not that it needs a lot; it does just need some EQing across the boards on all those pads and layers you got going on. So just some subtractive EQing on everything, and maybe bumping the kick. Yeah, Nathan Kelly, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, and also, you know, it doesn't always have to be me chiming in. You guys are more than welcome. This is a community, so this chat doesn't have to just be me talking. Please, I see the positive feedback, which is dope. If you got something you want to share or you want to say, hey, yeah, I agree, or you can even disagree with me, man. You don't have to take what I say. You know, you can say, hey, no, I want to do this. This is what I intended. That's the most important thing. So Vinny, thank you for sharing. I hope that's cool. And then, as always, with everybody, if you want to ask me something specific, you know, if there's something that I didn't quite talk about that you were looking for, now's the time to say it. And otherwise, I'm moving to the next track. So thank you, Vinny. Always a pleasure, man. All right. we got noise in motion. We got a YouTube link. And let's see how we're doing on time. Yeah, so there is a chance we can probably, get at least 3 more in, including this one, potentially 4. So yeah, if you guys want to get in there, send it in. So we got noise in motion, just submitted a track. Not sure who in this chat is that person. So if you want to, maybe I saw noise in motion in here. Anyway, let's kick it off. Let's stop wasting the precious time we have left and let's listen to some music. Cool. Nice, smooth, some kind of jammy, jazzy, funky track. Let me switch it. Thanks for sharing. Let me get in my face back. All right. Cool track. Sorry, I'm just trying to get all these confusing windows out of my face. Let me go back. Noise in motion. There we go. Awesome. Cool, man. Thanks for sharing that. Really, I'm a big fan. I love the live looping. Yeah, cool video. Nice effects, nice shot, nice movement. Really digging all the parts you're playing on top, all the soloing. That's so cool. The that guitar, I know you popped it up with the text, whatever that guitar stick thing is, was really great. So the flow and the movement is really nice. I agree. Really nicely put together. It's really got a smooth flow. That's not even that crazy. Like I really enjoyed the rhythm of the drums. The drum, I know you're saying live looping everything one, everything, no pre-record loops except for the drums. So I'm just curious, the monostick, cool. I'm curious what's going on with the drums. Is it a drum sample? Is it something you have more control over? It sounds like the drum quality, the loop of the drum quality, either you're pushing the warp on it. I mean, you're using live. So I don't know. There's something about the sample, the quality of that sample, that whatever, like it's a done deal. I just a heads up. There was just something about, it sounded like Ableton's warping mode, maybe the beat mode. I don't know if you change the tempo of the original sample, but I really just heard the artifacts. And sometimes that is a stylistical thing, digital sound that is desired to get these cool artifacts in the loops. But that was just one thing that I felt really strongly in terms of felt really strongly and heard. And this is more of a critique, right? Everything was really nice. The flow of the track, the movement, your soloing, the looping, the mix of your sounds were really solid. The drums are where they should be. The only thing I'm critiquing is the quality of the sample, the drum sample. Something about the warp mode feels to be degrading it. I don't know if it's on beats, maybe try Complex, maybe try Complex Pro. Maybe there's no hope either. Some samples just don't come in well, or yeah. Another thing just to look out for, your highs were a little intense on some of the moments, especially the percussion, especially the cymbals. If it's a loop, maybe calm it down around 5K. And sometimes your keys and a little bit of the guitar, there's just an overall general dipping in your higher frequency range that I think could be helpful in terms of the mix. So yeah, digging the production. Really, I mean, that's, my background is like jazz and improv, and I love just jamming and flowing and having that kind of vibe going on, and even that kind of rhythm section. Okay, drum quality is resampling from my old things. So I feel that. So yeah, that's it, man. Just get a better, work on the drum sample or whatever it is, or find a better one, or record something, That was the only thing that I felt was really could have been addressed. And it's not a huge thing. That's something that, maybe the average listener might not really think about. But, I work really closely with the software. So, but Noise in Motion, thank you so much for submitting. Last minute to just ask us something before we move on to the next track. If you got anything you want to ask, please let us know. Yeah, I agree. Really cool video. All right, let's do this. I'm sorry, Ivan. I do want to see how it doesn't matter of personal taste. Okay, cool. Yeah. I could see a little bit more of a balance of bringing down those pads just a little bit, or maybe panning it, maybe separating more of the lush kind of ambient secondary sounds left and right and having those leads come right down the middle. That could be cool too. All right. Noise and Motion. I am moving forward, but I am keeping my eye on the chat. So if you got something you want to ask me, please do. All right, we got two more. I think that is probably going to be it, folks, unless, we'll see how it goes. So I just want to let you know, for the chance you're trying to slip in there, try to, but just don't be too bummed out if I don't get to you. So we have two more lined up. There's a chance this might be the final two. I would say we can maybe squeeze in at least one more, but we'll see how it goes. All right, we got Ivan X back in the house. Here we go. Let's do this. I'm going to flip it in a moment. I'm going to hit play first.
We fought for the right to be here, and now we'll fight for the right to stay. You say there's nothing to see here. We drag it out into the light of humanness will have no currency. Your hollowness will be exposed. That's how it has to be. You can try, but you will fail. We will fight and we'll prevail. You pretend that you stand for something. You think you're invincible. But what you project, we won't accept because we have a principle. You can try, but you will fail. We will fight and we'll prevail. We fought for the right to be here, and now we'll fight for the right to stay. You can snort and shout, try to throw us out. There will be no fucking way. You can try, but you will fail. We will fight and we'll prevail.
All right. That's right. Don't forget that. All right. Let's flip it. Let's flip it. Cool. Just before I say anything, just want to say hi to Shark. Thanks for joining us. All right. Cool. So yeah. Doing all right. We're in the final moments of this feedback session. Likely only have time for one more, potentially two. If you want to be that potential last person that might not make it through, please send it through. But we right now will likely get to Yvonne as the last. So Ivan, thank you for coming back and submitting. Now I can say your name. There's just, I meet Ivans. It depends where you're from, right? So Yvonne, Ivan, how we doing? All right. Anyway, back to the track. Oh my goodness. Right to stay. So Ivan, talk to us. Anything you want. I mean, for me, sounds like a done deal, honestly. Full production. Seems like I would imagine you're done with this track, but things to think about for future tracks, right? So that's the other thing. It's just good to finish music. That's the best thing. Everyone's, I got all these unfinished tracks. And I know that game too. But I personally, I need to finish tracks. I need to. And Ivan, I'm not saying like this is not finished or whatever, but in the realms of submitting something for feedback, sometimes people send feedback when it's not done and they want to, they're still working on it. And I'm feeling like this sounds like a finished track, but there's things to think about, right? I can look back on every song, not every song, but a lot of my music or that I look back on in 3-4 months. I'm always looking back and being like, oh, I could have did this, or I'm getting better, right? For the purpose of the song, the lyrical content of the song, this idea that I have might not be necessary, because I think there's something about the emotional context of this track. Maybe it just needs to keep on going, right? For the right to stay, you got to keep on pushing. So I think instrumentally that's reflective, and it's good to have that. I always am a fan, and this is, again, this could be completely subjective. I'm a fan of having sometimes larger breaths, and I'm just like, hold on, I just want to just double check something real quick. Yeah, so I feel like, again, not on this track. You feel like it's pretty done. I think you should it's done, man. Don't worry about it. Like, keep on. The best thing you do is the done track. You work in the next track and you try to get that thing that you didn't quite get in the previous track. Or sometimes that thing that you were trying to do just happens when you're not thinking about it. And all of a sudden you have that track that has this element that you've been like dying to create. Anyway, Ivan, just something to think about. For this track, I think for the context of the track, I think it should just go. But there's a part of me that just wanted a little bit more breath. I love talking about breath. It's something I talk about a lot in my classes and in general when it comes to arrangement. It's in the can. Okay, done deal. But future tracks, maybe just have more dramatic breakdowns in the middle section where it's like, the drums drop out and it's just your pads or just the bass and it's just more dramatic and gives it more breadth, So those are things to think about. Just maybe a more contrasting breakdown towards the end. Other than that, I think it's done. I like the comments that are going on in the track. I think he's got some vocal wise. Could it have some more backings? I don't know. I think in my opinion, it's in the bag. So I'll leave it at that in terms of what to think about for the next track. Ivan, yeah, of course. No, for sure, man. It's crazy. We can lose track of our productions, especially when we over listen to it. Oh my goodness. You will literally hear your music in the most messed up, disturbed way when you think if something's going really south and you've been working and listening to too long, give yourself a break. I mean, of course, this is different a little bit. I understand that. You want to understand how the emotional impact the song will have on someone else. That's the whole thing, right? That's how art continues to resonate throughout the world, right? Is how it impacts people. And sometimes we can't, as an artist, it can be really hard to really gauge what emotion we're putting in and then how that's going to be reflected. Anyway, Ivan, thank you. Hope to see you. Oh, and just everyone that's here. Unfortunately, just next week, I will not be doing the feedback sessions. Someone will be here, obviously. I will be back and always back for the rest of the feedback sessions coming September. But next week is the only weekend I just won't be able to do it. Nishark, I see you in the house. Let's see how we do. There's a chance we might not make it. But Avon, let's do this. So Avon, we're going to check it out. And the shark, I hope we can get to your track, but there's a chance we just might not. Let's see how we do. So I'm loading this up. Here we go. Hit and play. All right. So sorry to cut that. Yeah, our track limit is usually within 7 minutes. Maybe if we had more time, we could get into the whole thing, but I do want to give you some feedback on it because I do have some feedback to give. I apologize, D. Whalen. I apologize for butchering your last name. But yes, I had to pause it just because we're out of time and I wanted to give some feedback. Unfortunately, we are in the final minutes of this. Nishark, I just wrote back to you, so check that out. And yes, let's just finish up this feedback. We got this Goa trance, really nice track arrangement wise. I know I cut it off. I wanted to hear where that final drop is. So the biggest piece of advice that is needed for this track is the leveling. The drums need to be stronger. Your synths and pads and everything are just too loud. And once you get those right, like once your drops hit, you have such nice builds, and arrangement wise, there's a lot of really strong things of how you're moving. And for this genre, you have these longer phrases, but your drops kind of fall short just a little bit because the drums are just too behind in the mix. So just pull down those synths. If you are using sidechain compression on the synths, you need to increase it. Maybe drop your threshold, increase your ratio, raise the release a little bit. If you don't have any sidechain compression, look into it. Sidechain compression, Ableton Live if you're using it. Find plenty of videos on how to set that up. So yeah, it's a nice track. It has the energy, like the way it's moving, arrangement-wise, the sounds. It's the mix that I really think needs to be addressed in order to get that energy. So I'm going to leave it at that. I apologize for cutting the track. And for those of you who are joining us, we're typically, track length no greater than 6 or 7 minutes. If you were the first one to fly in with a submission, we might be able to squeeze in an 8-minute track, but we try our best to, it's a studio, but anyway. So that is it for today, everybody. Yvonne, thank you for sharing the track. I hope that helped. Nishark, I apologize we did not get to your track, but you check out the email I wrote back. And Andromeda, we are done for today. So unfortunately, if you want, join us next week. I will not be here next week for the feedback sessions. One of our awesome 343 teachers will be, but I will be back full on. Okay, I will be back. It's just next week I cannot make it. So thank you everybody for hanging out. Check us out online, 343labs.com. We got awesome classes. We also have a tremendous amount of free information on our YouTube channels, our Facebook and Instagram. I'm Atropolis, instructor at 343 Labs. I need to go get some coffee. Goodbye everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend. And thanks for hanging out. Thanks for submitting. I'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Join us next week. I'll be back in a couple weeks.